the Depression came. That was bad. My husband had a job, but they laid him off. Nobody had any money. Couldn't get a job. We didn't know what we were doing. We rented, we didn't own. And we didn't know what we were going to do. Then hamburger was 25 cents a pound. Bread was 10 cents a loaf. They sold apples on the corners. There was nobody had any money. And everybody, so many people were out of work. Especially young people, you know. Sometimes older people had a little bit put away for, you know, from working, but the young people didn't. So, my husband's people lived out here, and out here where the golf course is now was a farmhouse with a nice big barn. We came out here for the winter because they had cows and pigs and so on. We stayed out here for the winter, and that was an education to me because I never lived in the country. My husband would ride the horse, and he'd up the hills here, and he'd shoot the rabbits in the winter, and we'd have rabbit to eat. And they killed a pig, I guess it was, and they had milk. They had a cow, they had milk, and they made bread. I learned to make bread. I learned to make butter, which I didn't know how to do. We used to sell the butter and trade, not sell it, we'd trade it for flour and stuff, see. That was during the Depression, that was bad. Well, the winter went. Had a couple of bad snowstorms. One was they dug a tunnel from the house to the barn and they had to go that way. We had so much snow. And we'd take a sled and start up at the top of the hill and end up at the top of that hill. And the neighbors were very nice. They'd have a card party once a month, and everybody'd get together, you know, and the hostess would make a special dessert or something. But nothing too elaborate. So we went back to the city in the spring, and we found a job. He found a job. And then things, it lasted a long time. It lasted, I believe it was 5 years, the Depression. So he worked for a while. Of course, I had just Jack then, and we decided to open a store. So we opened a store. We had a little money saved, but it didn't work out. It was we sold stoves and heating and things like that, but it didn't work out too well, so we had to give up. So we gave the store up, and my brother was in Oregon, and he said maybe we could get a job out there. We sold everything, our furniture and all, and we went to Oregon. We went at Christmas time. I remember Christmas Day, we had our dinner in the desert. We had a can of Franco-American spaghetti and some hamburger mixed with it, which we cooked over the stove. That was our Christmas dinner. It tasted all right. We got to Oregon, and the people were very nice. They gave us a place to sleep where my brother worked, and my husband proceeded to look for a job, but he didn't get one. He could work in the woods, and a woodsman, you know, but he'd have to lead me, and he didn't want to do that. So we came back to Rochester. And the first week we come back, we came back on the first of the week. We had $1.50 left. So my husband persuaded to get a haircut for that $1.50. We were staying with his people. And the next day he got a job. From then on, things looked up. We rented it. The next week we rented a house on Frost Avenue. And he worked for this man who was very nice. We didn't have any furniture. We had sold it all. And I had kept a few things, you know, and like linens and pots and pans and dishes I kept. And he worked, and then the depression started to, you know, get better all the time. And everybody, a lot of people were buying things. People were working, and they could buy. My husband had a chance to buy a metal shop, very cheap. He didn't have enough money to buy it, but who do you think helped? Sears Roebuck. He knew a man there that was in charge of one of the departments, and he bought the shop and opened it up, and he began to work. He was hiring men. They made fittings for stoves on the whole East Coast of Sears Roebuck, for Sears Roebuck. So things looked up. We began to get some furniture. And it was hard. It really was hard. Yeah. And he worked hard too. We didn't own our house, we rented it. So, and then that went on for a few years. And when the war came, I told that before.